can join us on Zoom if you'd like the whole experience. Make Jim the co-host. Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Hello to the beautiful familiar faces and one or two that I have yet to meet. Thanks for joining us this morning. May this time of practice be for our benefit and for the benefit of all beings. This beautiful little art piece to my left, over there anyway, was made by Kat, who's a little freaking out to see it up here. It's a rendition of a beautiful batik that's on the west wall of the Ruth Denison Dhammadina Meditation Hall at PIMC, which I purchased in 1971, the batik. But this is in different colors and it's quite lovely. It's made of shredded paper, and so thank you, Kat. Nice image. The active ingredient, the really active ingredient, are these eyes, which are behind everything, behind every activity, behind every thought, every perception. There's this mysterious, inexplicable awakeness. The Buddha, the awareness of the Buddha. So, and Siddhartha, who became the Buddha that night under the Bodhi tree, Siddhartha figured that out, that if we cultivate heart-mind fullness, sati, and a few other things, concentration, patience, generosity, that we can have the experience the Buddha did. He spent his life teaching that. So this is a little poem to start the day from this book, Wild Honey, Tough Salt, which is Kim Stafford, a local poet, a local national world poet, beautiful human being. Proclamation for Peace. Whereas the world is a house on fire, whereas the nations are filled with shouting, whereas hope seems small, sometimes a single bird on a wire, left by migration behind, whereas kindness is seldom in the news, and peace an abstraction, while war is real, whereas words are all I have, whereas my life is short, whereas I am afraid, whereas I am free despite all fire and anger and fear. Be it therefore resolved, a song shall be my calling, a song not made, not yet made, shall be vocation, and peaceful words the work of my remaining days. Whereas the world is a house on fire, whereas the nations are filled with shouting, whereas hope seems small, sometimes a single bird on a wire left by migration behind, whereas kindness is seldom in the news, and peace an abstraction, while war is real, whereas words are all I have, whereas my life is short, whereas I am free, whereas I am afraid first. Do that stanza again. Whereas words are all I have, whereas my life is short, whereas I am afraid, whereas I am free despite all fire and anger and fear. Be it therefore resolved, a song shall be my calling, a song not yet made shall be vocation, and peaceful words the work of my remaining days. Peaceful words. And a song. How about a very familiar song? A song that's very close to the bone, close to the heart. A little painful to play this morning. I spent too long with this guitar last evening or yesterday. Noticing how sounds come out of nowhere. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. It's an old practice, isn't it? To stop the headlong rush, trying to achieve something, trying to create something that endures, trying to find the stable ground. So we take our comfortable upright posture, right here in the middle of everything. Whatever time of day it is where you are, it's morning here early, sun isn't up yet. It's raining. There's a certain weather on the inside, too. Just remembered a poem I'll maybe find for tomorrow. Robert Frost's Tree at My Window, Window Tree. Your head is concerned with outer and mine with inner weather. So our concern is really the inner weather. What is the ecology of mind, of this mind, presenting in this moment? Here's the body still, or again, familiar body, the one that we've been guests in for a few years. Let us come into contact, awareness, that which knows, coming into contact with the sitting body where it touches the chair. All those places where clothing creates a sensation against the body. And there's a lot of activity happening in the body. Heart's beating. Arteries are pulsing here and there. The breath is coming and going. For a little while, there's nowhere to get to. We've already arrived. There's no one to be, no promises to keep, no commitments to be responsible to. Except perhaps the intention of refuge in being awake, of recognizing what's true with the Dharma. And supporting one another in this practice by being together. By being together. In such a familiar way, each breath has its beginning. Each breath, each thought, each sound comes into being, rises to fullness, declines and vanishes. There is a gentle effort involved in simply being here. There's the intention of refuge in being awake. And then there is, of course, the falling into trances. One is pulled into desire or wanting something. Maybe wanting more concentration or maybe more bliss or more delight. Or maybe it's a desire for something later in the day. I really hope this happens. I want this to happen. Or maybe it's the second of the 5 hindrances, the aversion, the disliking. Creating a self by being in opposition to what exists. Or maybe it's restlessness and agitation and worry. A busy mind. A mind that has fantasies of completion and checking things off the to-do list. Somehow achieving, being worthy of love through achievement, through doing. Or maybe it's sloth and torpor, dullness, fatigue. A mind that really doesn't stay conscious very much. Or maybe it's doubt, skeptical doubt. Why am I doing this? Does this work? Maybe I'd be better off doing at my computer. So we awaken to any and all of these trance states. They are, in fact, the grist for our awakening. Ever so kindly, gently, mercifully, we embrace the in-breathing and out-breathing in the context of a sitting body. There is no predicting what will happen in the next moment, really, or the next hour, or the next day or week. Life has its own way of appearing as mystery. As our meditation takes hold, we may discover we're more surprised by ordinary things than we used to be. Resting in the present moment and being very curious. Here's the mind that normally I think I am. Here's the mind with the ideas, beliefs, strategies that I think will bring happiness. So let me bring this moment, this collection of mind phenomena, into the bright light of awareness. Even or especially that which I normally don't question as my personality. This is how I do myself. we can observe the discontinuity between the wandering mind and presence. There's that remarkable moment when the wandering mind yields somehow, or the light of awareness makes it sort of irrelevant. And why is it that we practice? We've discovered that this somehow works to reduce our suffering. It illuminates the ways we harm ourselves and others with our thoughts, with our speech, with our actions. It makes the price of unskillful talk, gossip, slander, harsh talk, makes the price obvious. We practice for the emergence of love, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, our normal, what remains when we are no longer burdened by greed, hatred, and ignorance. We practice for the delight of a mind which is at least sometimes much calmer. We practice for the benefit of all beings. When we take responsibility for our little piece of the great web of being, then all beings are affected. We practice to gladden the heart, to bring to the present moment our intentions of love. The love of the Buddha, where there's room for everything. On the in-breath, you might add some beautiful wish for yourself, some blessing, some golden or white light, some imagination. I long to be happy. I long to be content. May I know happiness, the causes of happiness, and the path that leads to happiness. I long to be free from suffering. May I know suffering intimately. May I know the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering. The Four Noble Truths. Whatever words, whatever imagination you add or include, sense down into the felt sense of the longing to be free, the longing to sing your song. Be it therefore resolved, a song shall be my calling. A song not yet made shall be vocation, and peaceful words, the work of my remaining days. Set your heart on this destination. Today, I aspire to be content and to live with delight in the breathing. Delight in whatever challenges come. It's like a carnival ride, this life. And of course, we live in this web of human and animal being. Billions and billions of us. On the out-breath, we might somehow reflect on all of our relations, our family members, our friends, the geese that travel overhead every now and then around here, the deer in the forests, the whales in the ocean. This great web of interbeing. And so on the in-breath, we wish ourselves well. We share a prayer with ourselves. On the out-breath, may all beings share in the merits of our practice. Let each breath in be a breath of awareness, in awareness. Let it come with curiosity. Let it come with love. Let it come with concentration and equanimity. And each surrendering of the breath be our surrendering into all of life. Before long, we will surrender completely. But for now, there's a next breath. How shall I use this day? What will be my aspiration for today? May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. I call to the altar of our hearts Ruth Dennison, my dear teacher and friend of 4/7 of my life. Please remember your teachers. Remember your good fortune at having had such teachers. Of course, some of them were pretty flawed, the ones who played the role of our parents often. But connect with the parts of these beings that held you aloft and said, go this way. Go this way. And bringing now awareness into the face, into the eyes, and notice the intention to let the eyes open, and then they open. There's an intention and then there's activity. A little bit before my father died, was prompted this memory a few moments ago. A little bit before he died, he and my mother came, the one time they ever came to Portland from Montreal. So my son Luke, was 6 months old. And we went out to dinner at Uncle Chen's. Those of you that have been around Portland for a long time may remember Uncle Chen's. Yeah, it was good, nice place. And I asked him at dinner, of all places, a man of very few words, I said something like, Dad, you've been around a long time. And I was having greater respect for my parents because we had that child, and I was discovering how ridiculously difficult it was to raise a child. And what would your wisdom be if you were to, could you be sure to mute yourselves? Let me see here. Oops, hang on. Carrie Ann, I'm going to, whoop, it's done. Anyway, don't want to draw this out too long. I asked him, what would your wisdom be? What would you tell me? What would your succinct statement of how to live my life be? And he thought for quite a while. And then he said, try not to hurt anybody. And don't cheat any more than you have to. Ooh. It's a slightly different take on the precepts, but quite a lot of wisdom in it. Live life with as much integrity as we can. If you were to go to the chat, you would see several lovely links. you would see a link for making a contribution to PIMC. If you haven't done that and you'd like to really feel like you belong more, since you can't come and wash windows right now or do anything else like that in service of the center, you can vote for its flourishing and long-term survival. In the end of this now February, happy February. In the end of February, I'll be teaching a 2-day retreat at Hollyhock, online through Hollyhock. The link is there for that. There's a podcast that was created by a guy called Rob Orman, who mostly creates education for ER docs. But he approached me and he created this very nice interview. So it's got some video in it and some audio. You can listen to it all in audio. And I've got candles first and third Sundays here. It'll be next Sunday night. And a video that I watched yesterday or day before, Roshi Joan Halifax and Frank Ostaseski on keeping death in mind to help us live more fully. And then below that, there's the invitation to Doyle Banks' Saturday retreat, which is this coming Saturday. So that's lots of invitations. If any one of them is of interest, I invite you to follow up on it. So with that, I shall cease talking and invite, do you have anything you'd like to share? How is this COVID thing going for you? How is isolation going for you? Oh, I went yesterday with my grandkids to the park, and I forgot my mask. And it was outdoors, and there was lots of space, but I felt so self-conscious. It was like, I thought, who do these people think I am? But we survived. It was raining, and it was nice, actually. So what's up with you?
Hey, Robert and Sangha, this is Davina. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. So I've been watching too much of the Great British Baking Show, and baking as a way to cope with too much time on my hands. And yesterday, for some reason, I felt the need to make a traditional British Christmas pudding, which is something that you boil on the stovetop for 7 hours. And I thought, well, that would be a good project. So I made it, and I put this on Facebook, and somebody said, oh, I love that, and I didn't get to have any because we didn't get to have Christmas with our friends who make this every year. And I said, well, I would love to give you a piece. And so she came over, and just the act of handing it to her on my front porch was so intensely pleasurable. And just that moment of giving, and just that brief conversation after days and days of not seeing another adult human, it was so lovely. And I would love to give away another few pieces of this. It's basically a very moist fruit cake. So if anybody loves fruit cake, I would love to give you a piece. So that's how I've been coping with isolation.
What part of town do you live in?
I live in North Portland.
A little far for Dave Mayer.
I'm just thinking, I'll be right over.
I can't tell where you are from the background, Dave.
I'm in Virginia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little far.
I don't know how comfortable you would feel with this, Davina, but on my birthday, I had really a lot of fun. I went to Costco and stocked up on a bunch of food and went underneath the Morrison Bridge, and there was a lot of hunger there. It was such a delight to actually hand out food. So I'm sure it would be safe, but and there's little COVID risk. But anyway, that's just an idea. There's probably some people camping out quite near you.
Yes, there are actually. I know where they are, so that's a lovely idea. Thank you.
I'm getting on my soapbox here for a moment. What an absolutely bizarre reality that we have hungry people when there's so much wealth, so poorly distributed. It's just the strangest thing.
Robert, this is Carrie Ann.
Hello, Carrie Ann.
Hey, sorry about the mic. I was getting coffee and I hit my thing, but
It's all right.
it's not why I'm talking though. I'm hoping the Sangha can keep my uncle and my uncle's wife in their thoughts. He has COVID. He has pneumonia and an infection, and I don't think he's going to make it. And his wife is struggling mightily because the doctors have said that if we revive him, it will just be a series of reviving and excruciating eventual death.
Ooh.
She loves him, and that's a hard call to make. So I've been talking with my cousin who wants to honor her because, she's been a good wife to my uncle and very loving, but at the same time wants to help her find the strength. It's her call. So that complexity, and that's what I'm asking for. And the last thing I want to say is, because I think it relates to everything I've been thinking about this whole time in COVID. My uncle's been in my thoughts a lot. He reached out to me pretty close to the start of COVID. We'd gotten into an argument, I don't know, maybe a year ago. It was a stupid one, but I finally took the bait. He was a Trump supporter, and I finally took the bait on kids in cages because I worked for years with kids who are immigrants, and we argued, and then I said, well, I found a place of intersection. I said, okay, we're in agreement here, and I walked away, and I felt very disgruntled with him for a while. But he reached out to me and he said, I think I feel like this might be my year of death, and I want you to be the one to process that with. And I'm telling this group because you don't know my family. He asked me not to tell anyone in the family. So we spent the year, him just telling me, he fought in Vietnam, he did 4 tours, he
Wow.
he about all of it. And so when we talk about grace and love for people who are different, have different beliefs, I think about him a lot. And I think about what I would have lost if I stayed entrenched. Because it's been one of the biggest blessings of this year. So,
Wow.
anyway.
Can you tell us his first name?
Yeah, he goes by Buddy.
Buddy.
My Uncle Buddy. He's a
Well,
sweet man.
how brilliant of you to get connected with him.
Yeah, yeah. He reached out to me,
Yeah.
and he said he felt like I was the one. So, in the last text I got from him was, "Don't worry, my soulmate. It's gonna be okay."
Whoa. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Sangha. You've helped me to stay with him. I've shared many of the poems to him, and we've had wonderful conversations. Some of the poems opened up beautiful thoughts, and so